Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Carrie Smoot from the Village Spa.
And I'm Wayne Morris with WHHI-TV.
And today we are here in the studios at WHHI here on Hilton Head Island. Our first guest is Mr. Wes Loper. He is the beach club manager at Melrose on the Beach on Defusky, which is a very new, exciting place that's got all kinds of stuff going on. So I'm kind of excited to see what he has to say.
Another great reason to go to Defusky.
Yeah, like we need another reason.
Our second guest is Emily Johnson. Emily is the managing partner for Polaris Capital Advisors. She also has a TV show here on WHHI called Money Matters, which is very good. And she's going to talk about unfortunate topic of divorce, but you got to be ready if it's coming.
Yes.
And she's going to be giving us some insights and some tips on that and just other financial tips.
And last but not least, we have Miss Charlie Clark. She's with the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce. She's here to discuss how the Chamber gets involved with the school and things that the community can do to help everybody out, which is
help
a really
teachers,
interesting
help
program.
Kids. I mean, I can't believe it's back to school.
I know, it's
here
crazy. It's the shortest summer ever. So make sure that you come back for more 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.
843 TV, where the town of Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
843 TV, where Defusky Island comes to speak.
843 TV, where the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber comes to speak.
.843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
Welcome to 843 TV. We are here now with Mr. Wes Loper. He is the beach club manager at Melrose on the Beach.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. So there's a lot going on Defusky at Melrose on the Beach. Tell everybody what's going on.
We're actually under new management from a management group out of Salt Lake City, Utah called Polaris. And we've done wonderful things, starting off with the beach club. There's a lot of other stuff that's actually happening on the island too. We're in talks to redo the inn. We have the equestrian center open. We have a 18-hole Jack Nicklaus design golf course. So I mean, we're, like I said, starting out with gangbusters, moving up. So I'm enjoying myself.
Kind of open big.
Exactly. Go big or go home.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit about the beach club specifically. What is that?
That's one of the first kind of properties that we've actually opened and started to build up our brand with, and we're trying to get kind of the high-end market. We have a full bar, really nice wine list. We're really lucky on Defusky Island because from the beach you can see Hilton Head and Savannah. Mm-hmm. And with work that I've done previously, I know a lot of local like organic farmers and stuff, so I'm actually able to use both coasts and source a lot of our fresh produce and meats and cheeses and things like that.
So if you're sitting on Hilton Head, just out of curiosity, if you're at Harbor Town and looking over at Defusky, where is the beach club? Can I see it?
Well, if you're in Sea Pines and you look directly over from Sea Pines, I mean, you can see the beach club right there.
Okay, so that's it.
That's it, right on the end.
Wes, what would you say makes it unique? Because obviously it's on an island, which makes it unique as well, just on Defusky for a dining experience. What distinguishes the restaurant from someplace else?
Well, especially in this area, like I said, it's there's very few places that are right on the edge of the water. So you can actually, like I said, see Savannah, or Tybee Island, and Hilton Head from where you are. And we, like I said, we're trying to kind of go into the higher end kind of market. The food that we have is just impeccable. The chef that we had is actually trained in France and Italy. So he brings a lot to the table. And it's just really good, like I said, to be able to work.
Intended.
Yeah, exactly. But it's good just to be able to, like I said, source a lot of the fresh stuff that we're getting. So a lot of times we don't even know what's going to be on the nightly menu till maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon when stuff comes in. So it's like we're able to kind of make things fresh and new. It's exciting.
Yeah, and I would imagine catering, special events, you handle all that?
Definitely. We're, in the main part of the dining room, we're able to do about 70 people or something in there comfortably. And we have our own, wedding coordinator and things like that on site, on premises. And we can do, special menus. we've done buffets before, things, I mean, from anywhere from just something basic out on the beach, like oyster roast, things like that, up to something, like I said, extremely kind of high-end with all champagnes and wines and course pairings and things like that. We're able to kind of accommodate anything in between.
Yeah, I've been to Melrose a couple times. One was the marsh tacky races, and that was certainly a special event that they handled pretty well.
And you know, we had the 4th of July event, which was our kind of our soft opening.
Right.
And I think I lost count around 700 people there. So yeah, I mean, it was just exciting to kind of look out and just see everybody there. Yeah.
But everything's nice, and y'all are doing a great job. I can't wait till everything's full scale and everybody's out there.
Exactly.
Well, the number one question too always is, well, how do we get there? Because sometimes that makes people nervous because they're like, well, I don't know how to get there. I don't know what to do. So what would you recommend if they wanted to come to Melrose?
Well, as far as like resource-wise, you can go on to DeFuskyIslandMagazine.com. And there's, once you go on the site, there's like a resources drop box. You can go under that and it'll tell you all the different ways, like prices, rates, things like that. Also, on that same kind of tab, you can see about like lodging and things like that. We're, like I said before, we're kind of going into getting the inn redone. A lot of the cottages that we have are getting redone. So there's, you know, kind of lots of ways to get over.
So do you have, right now, do you currently have overnight lodging available, or is that still waiting for an open?
That's still kind of waiting for an open, but we do have places on site in Melrose that are available, like I said, through those resources. It gives you kind of a list of all the numbers and stuff like that you can contact.
So if somebody wants a nice staycation for the weekend, they can go.
Oh, definitely.
But Wes, if I want to just go to dinner on Saturday night, I live on Hilton Head Island, so my husband and I want to just go to dinner on Saturday night. Can we do that? Can we just?
Yeah, sure.
And then so we take a ferry over and have dinner and then ferry on back?
Take one of the ferries over. We'll come, pick you up from the dock if you want to, or, get a golf cart and come on up and see us, and then have dinner. We'll, take you back that evening.
Now we know the service is fancy. What's the dress code?
Well, we have a pool there on site too. So we've got like 2 pools and 2 I guess whirlpools and stuff in there too. So it's like actually kind of a large site. So we have people coming in. Not really that we want you in there in bathing suits, but it kind of happens, it's DeFusky Island. But like I said, we have the beach club side and outdoors is kind of very casual. But then we have, a set of double doors that you walk through, and it's like, nice linens.
Do you have a full
wine
menu
glasses.
outside as well?
Oh yeah. You can actually get the full menu at the pool also.
So you can do whatever tickles your fancy.
Exactly,
Coastal casual, as
Yes.
we always call it.
Exactly.
Coastal casual.
So it's the normal stuff for the island.
Right.
So for everyone that heard this and wants to go check you guys out, where do they need to go?
You can go on melroseonthebeach.com.
Okay.
Also, you can call me directly if you want to. Our phone number at the beach club is 843-341-2640.
Are reservations required for this, or can we go a spur of the moment?
You can kind of go spur of the moment, but here lately we've been, doing services. We've been doing a lot of people every day, even for lunch. So it's just to make sure that you get the best service possible and the best food possible. We do kind of recommend that you
How
make
much are y'all
reservations.
sourcing from Savannah, just out of curiosity?
20%, maybe 25%. And like I said, it's just kind of with the farmers that Chef George and I know already. So yeah, keep it in the same family,
Well, everybody go check out Melrose on the Beach. It's a beautiful place, and we can't wait till it gets open all the way.
I know, right?
It's
Yeah.
very, very close.
We're
Well, thank
excited.
you for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
And make sure that you come back for more 843 TV.
Welcome back to 843 TV. We are now here with the managing partner for Polaris Capital Advisors, Emily Johnson. Emily also hosts Money Matters on WHHI-TV, so we're glad she's switching roles and being a guest on our show here today. Tell us about Polaris, what services you provide, and just a general overview of your business.
Okay. Polaris Capital Advisors is a traditional wealth management and financial advisory firm. We do, boutique investment management, financial advisory, financial planning, et cetera. One of the areas that we do focus on to some degree, and that's something that we're going to talk about today to keep it a little bit different from just the basic, is that we do a lot of financial planning around divorce and financial advisory around divorce, and help attorneys and clients sort of throughout the coastal area, sort of from Charleston down to Jacksonville, with divorce-related financial questions.
Yeah, we were just talking earlier. It's so important to have your affairs in order if that's the road you're going to go down. So
Well,
calling
and it's,
you
it's
makes a lot of
50 to
sense.
60% now
Yeah.
of marriages, and I hate to be the black cloud over a lot of this
Way
stuff.
to be optimistic.
Exactly. Well, when I follow the restaurant guy, I have to have like a little bit of punch here, but yeah, it's 50 to 60% of marriages do end in divorce, and interestingly now we're seeing a lot more, and perhaps it's just our geography, but I think that across the country too, you're seeing a lot more older divorce. They call it the graying divorce trend. You're seeing, I know.
When all their husbands come home after they've worked for the last 40 years, and now they're all retired, they're like, wow, I liked you better when
Well,
you
people are
worked.
living longer too, I think.
Yeah, it's
that makes an
exactly,
impact.
and they're living longer and they're more vibrant, into as an older age, which when you're living here, older age is more 80s, 90s, but throughout the rest of the country, it's 60s, and we are seeing a lot more cases with people that are getting divorced when they're in their 60s after 30 some odd years of marriage, and that definitely creates a different dynamic from when you're 40 or 45 and have 20 to 30 more earnings years in front of you.
And
Both
more
parties
assets.
do.
There's probably more assets on the table. And
Yeah.
I think all of us know somebody who's been in that situation, getting a divorce or going through something or about to get a divorce, whatever the case may be. What are your top recommendations? What are you say the top couple of things you'd recommend to folks who are in that boat and going through that process?
Sure. So regardless of age and regardless of the number of years that you've been married and with you, whether you have children or grandchildren or anything like that, even regardless of the amount of assets that you have, just merely having a life together means that you have financial, a financial relationship that you're going to have to split apart. So regardless of all of those things, some basic things that you need to do, and I strongly suggest considering these before you go ahead and file. So number one would be getting your credit report. That sounds really basic, but oftentimes in a marriage, you'll have one party sign for the other party, and they don't do it with malicious intent, but they might open a credit card, they might get a loan, et cetera, and they're going to sign for for the other party. Again, not with malicious intent, but it can be there. So it's important to know what your credit looks like. Number one, from the number of assets, liabilities, et cetera, but also just what your credit score is, because it's going to impact your ability to perhaps rent something afterwards, purchase a home afterwards, get a car loan, those types of things. So that's number one. Number two is print as many documents as you can, statements, 401k statements, whatever you can get your hands on, because as we talked about before, sometimes that stuff goes away a little quickly when you suddenly file, or you leave the house, suddenly you can't get your hands on some of those statements, passwords change, things like that. So again, it's rarely done with malicious intent, but people respond in an emotional way to difficult situations, and those are the top two recommendations that I would have. The third one obviously would be, definitely go get a consult. A financial consult with somebody like me is helpful, but I'd get a legal consult as well. I definitely, defer to the attorneys on the right way to handle, and navigate that path. Each case is different. It's worth the $250 or $350 to go and get, a couple of hours worth of consult in advance to make sure that you're taking the right steps.
Well, doing it through a divorce is incredibly important, but I think it's equally as important, if not more important, to do it before you get married.
That's a perfect
Being a young
point.
business owner and having kids, I've been divorced, been down that road,
Yep.
and I'm like, I'm not making the same mistake twice.
Exactly. It's like pre-Cana when you're Catholic and you go through, you have to go through all that stuff in advance of getting married. It's sort of the same thing. So few couples do it. And it's, and I am certainly not an expert on marriage or divorce or anything like that, and I work with a lot of mental health professionals and have learned so much from them. And the big key that I do see when people are going through a divorce, and the reasons that, and there's numerous reasons why people get divorced, communication is just massive, because you definitely, and oftentimes I have an opportunity to work with both parties. I'll work with the husband and the wife and help them settle their case in an amicable way that makes financial sense for both parties,
Right.
and sort of work as a neutral. And in that role, it's so interesting because you'll have husband say one thing, wife say another, and they're actually not that far apart often in what they're thinking, but their communication with each other is horrific. They seem like they have totally different values. They make assumptions about what the other is thinking.
Which is why they're getting a divorce.
Exactly. When really financially, oftentimes their values are much more aligned than either of them really assumes.
Well, kind of along that line, what questions do most of your clients have when they walk in the door and talk to you and sit down?
A lot of questions about taxes. How are taxes going to impact this settlement? This sounds a little trite, but one question that I always get is, am I going to be okay? And that it seems so basic, and but at the end of the day, and that question often comes from women. who are typically not the breadwinning spouse, but that question of am I going to be okay is at the heart of everything.
And a lot of them want to know if they're going to be okay because they don't have any idea. Again, they don't know what's there.
Exactly. And so a lot of what we do is education. So little of what we actually have to do is hardcore finance.
Right.
It really is. It's a lot of education, a lot of communication, and a lot of listening. But the goal is at the end of the day to make sure that people leave our office and leave the courtroom feeling like they have confidence around what their future looks like. And you see it. You can see that light in their eye that they get when they actually have that confidence. And it's not when they first walk in your office, but a couple weeks, months, however long it takes down that path, you see it. And it's a great feeling to see somebody have that kind of confidence after a difficult situation.
Well, this has been very educational. So thank you.
Thank
we
you
learned
very
a lot.
much.
Yeah,
I
how can we
appreciate
get
the
in
time.
touch with you and our viewers if they want to get some
You
information?
can check out our website, Polaris Capital Advisors, and we also have another website, divorceandquadro.com. I think it just got launched. Or just give us a call, 686-2425.
Great.
Thanks
Awesome.
very much.
Yeah. Well, thanks for staying with us, and we'll be right back with more 843 TV.
Welcome back to 843 TV. We're here now with Miss Charlie Clark. How are you?
Good, good.
She is the Vice President in Communications of the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce, for anybody that doesn't know that. I think everybody knows who you are. So with school right around the corner, believe it or not,
Yeah.
you have some great ways for the community to get involved. What's
Is it
all that
amazing,
about?
y'all? I can't believe school is right
It's the
around
shortest
the corner.
summer ever.
I think people always know the chamber's involved in business and networking and all those things, but I don't think people really understand how close we are tied to the schools. And it's this time of year especially, we do a thing called Project Connect. And its main goal is to connect the business community and the community in general with what teachers need in the classroom. Teachers literally spend over $500 out of their pockets, their own pockets, every year for basic school supplies. You remember those bulletin boards that looked so great when you went in? Well, those don't just happen. So we, along with the Island Packet, we publish a weekly wish list. Teachers say, I need everything from, I need paper, I need bulletin board supplies, do I need, we'd really love an aquarium. We're talking about fish, and we'd like, and the community has really answered in droves. I mean, since the program started, I think over $36,000 has been utilized through the chamber and through the business connection. So that's something we do that's really important.
As the husband of a teacher, I hope y'all raise some more of that money.
Absolutely.
What you're saying is at least $500.
It is.
She really
That's
does
the
spend her
average.
money.
You do. You
And
spend your
since we
own
don't
money.
pay our teachers enough.
Right.
Yeah, it makes the classroom just a little more special, and I think it helps teachers do that sigh of relief,
Well, what kind of impact has that had here in the Low Country of bringing the level of education kind of up, I guess for students?
Well, I think it's a number of things. Like you said, it gives the teachers a chance to sigh. It makes the classroom a more exciting place when they have things like that. One year it was so great. One of our donors, who was anonymous, actually there was a trip of high school kids going to Washington, D.C. Not all the kids could afford to go, so they made sure the kids could afford to go. So there are these kids who got this experience that they normally,
would have never had
you'd be
the
surprised at the
opportunity.
amount of kids who haven't really been outside of the Low Country. So it's just opening doors, opening horizons, letting kids know there's something else out there.
That's awesome.
Well, I think that's a huge miscommunication. Everybody goes, oh, they live on Hilton Head. There's not much of a middle class on Hilton
There's
Head.
a need. There's definitely a need on Hilton Head. There are students going to school, some basics. There are charities built around it, like Backpack Buddies and different things that help that process. You're right. It's not a community that where wealth is rampant everywhere. There's definitely a need here.
Right. And I know, with me personally, I was in the band all the way through kind of a band nerd all the way through high school. But our booster program pretty much sent all of us anywhere that we wanted to go, and we traveled pretty extensively. And it's just nice to be able.
It's important.
It is, because I couldn't imagine my education without it.
Expand your horizons.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So businesses locally want to get involved. If I have a finance-based business, if I want to get involved, how do I go about doing that?
Well, there's a couple of ways. You can do it through Project Connect. You could check out the wish list, and as simple as, yep, I'm going to grant that wish this week. You can also get involved with what's called our Golden Apple program. You know, teachers work hard, as you said, for sometimes not a lot of money. So Golden Apple program, our chamber members actually offer perks and discounts, some pretty great things on everything from, you know, the things you need every day, your tires to restaurants. So if you're a business and want to be part of the Golden Apple program, you can give discounted services or perks to teachers and ancillary school personnel, administrators, the janitors, those people that work in the school system that also need that kind of, it's just a nice boost for them. So those are just a couple of ways with Golden Apple program and through Project Connect that the Chamber is helping support our schools.
That's great.
You're doing a ton. Also, you're doing some real life scenario stuff with them. How does that work?
Great. You know, this is probably one of my favorites, and actually it's one of the community's favorites. Is, you know, you always used to do the career fair. Remember the career fair? Well, we sort of helped, you know, partnered with the schools to put a new twist on that. Students are given a bank account based on their GPA and based on their education. So it's a real quick learning curve to figure out, wait a minute, it connects the two. If I do better in school, this is what happens. And so with this reality store, we call it, you have a budget and you have to pay for groceries and you have to make a mortgage payment, you have to make a car payment, and if you haven't, your GPA is not so hot, so you decide maybe your education's not going to, you know, go too much further, that impacts you and you see what that looks like in real terms.
Is that also the program? I feel like I've heard about something like this where you're assigned a specific job, or you say, okay, you're going to be X, or is this just solely based on?
It's solely based on, you know, it's financials and GPA. It really comes down to really wanting those kids to understand the connection between what, because it's hard sometimes. You're sitting in history class and you don't really get, what is this going to, how is this going to impact me? Well, it's going to impact you. And so that puts it in, I think, real world terms that they can understand. I'm not going to be able to buy that you know, iPhone this month because I don't have enough money. It's just not there.
I think that's huge because there's such a sense of entitlement. I think with kids in general, I swear I think it's worse here, but there is, I mean, my girls do the same thing. And I'll hear people say, oh, you know, when we were 8, we didn't have an iPad, and we didn't have this, we didn't have that. And I'm like, oh, God. They do, but they work for their allowance, too.
Sure. It's making that connection sometimes is the most difficult thing for teenagers to do, especially. And so if you don't have everything handed to you, and you have to really take a hard look at what your life would look like if you decided not to go to college, or what your life would look like if you didn't do so hot and didn't get the direction you wanted to go. So I think it's been a real eye-opener, and it's great for the business community and for students to connect to one another. And the business community's been really involved in that. That's one of the other things we work with the schools on, Project Connect, to make that happen.
That's a really great network. Well, it sounds like it's a great way for the area businesses to support education here in the Lowcountry. So do you find that your business members get a lot of exposure through these programs?
Oh, sure they do. You know, it's a large employer, the school district, so it gives them a lot of exposure. But I think really, quite frankly, most of them do it because it's that altruistic need that they have. They want to give back to the community, and I'm really thrilled. We just did an interview with the new superintendent, and he is very into the business education connection.
Well, the buzz about him, everybody's very excited.
People are excited. So I think that's going to be great. That leadership coming from him is going to be a great connector for business and schools, and with the chamber, we're all kind of working together, which is a great place to be.
So how can viewers learn more about the Chamber programs and joining the Chamber's Business Education Partnership?
They can just go to hiltonheadchamber.org, or they can call us at 785-3673 and get all the information on how to get involved in GAP, how to get involved in Project Connect, and what other business education partnership things are happening.
Awesome.
That's great.
You always are full of information.
The chamber does it all.
It's busy. It's a busy place. That's good.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being with us again, and make sure that you join us next time for 843 TV,
where communities come to speak.